I'm a grateful recovering addict. My name is Ron. And I'm really excited and happy and grateful that this group asked me to participate in this 9th anniversary, this 9th celebration of ongoing recovery with this meeting of Hoodlums Haven. And it was just, for me, I didn't want it to end. I really enjoyed listening to our past secretaries share their experience, strength, and hope on what the involvement for them in this meeting meant to them and how it helped them in their recovery. And I want to say to the past secretaries that I love you all and that I really am grateful that you were willing to be of service to this group, because everybody that came up here tonight and shared a little bit about being secretary of this meeting has not only touched my life, but has touched the lives of many, many addicts, whether they know it or not. And I want to thank you all for being vigilant and for being a part of this ongoing group. And I'm happy that Steve mentioned that Homer over there, Eddie S., was the one that brought this name to this group a long time ago, and he did bring it from San Francisco. This is incredible to look out and to see all you guys here tonight celebrating this group. This is just incredible. And I was thinking before the group, before this thing got going, I was thinking in my mind, looking at all these faces, people I haven't seen for a while, and new faces that I haven't gotten to meet yet and stuff. And I was thinking, like, how many ways? There's so many ways for an addict to get clean, but there are very, very few ways for an addict to learn how to stay clean. And and I was thinking, what a blessing and what a gift it's been for this addict to be able to find a meaningful, purposeful, comfortable way to not use drugs a day at a time and to be able to face life on life's terms. The promise that it tells us in our literature, freedom from active addiction on a daily basis. And I was just embracing it and just thinking how lucky I am and how lucky we all are to be clean today and to be celebrating the 9th year of this group. And what I'd like to do as an act of unity is to ask you guys, could you turn to the person next to you? Could you give them a hug and could you thank them for staying clean today? Thanks, Bruce. Isn't this great? Isn't this great? Yeah. See, this is what our literature tells us about. This is what our literature talks about as being the most powerful vehicle of recovery that there is in our fellowship. And that's the therapeutic value of one addict helping another addict. By thanking each other to that we stay clean another day is an expression of unity. It's an expression of unity. And what I want to share with you guys tonight in this celebration is the celebration of this group, the unity of this group, the unity of our fellowship. I was thinking, this blew my mind. I was back there, I was going to take a leak, and there was a big line of people, and I'm standing there, and I had to wait like 5 minutes, so I'm talking to one guy, and then that breaks up. I talk to another guy, and then that breaks up, and I'm talking to, and in a matter of like minutes, I talked to 3 people. And one guy was sharing with me, like, oh man, I might have to find a new sponsor. I'm not sure. It's not working out. And I'm talking to him. Then all of a sudden, another guy I'm talking to, and he's going, God, I'm having this spiritual awakening. I'm finally becoming closer to the God of my understanding. And I said, wow, that's insane. Then I'm talking to this other guy, and he's saying how grateful he is not to have a dildo off his ass today. I swear to God. I swear. And I thought to myself, I swear to God. And I ain't saying who it was, but I'm telling you, this is what I heard in a matter of 5 minutes, and I thought to myself, what an incredible place to be able to come to and to stay clean and to recover with you guys, right? One guy's seeking God, the other one's grateful he ain't got a dildo up his ass. I mean, where else can you find that? I don't think you're going to get that at church. I really don't. So, it warms my heart, to be a part of this celebration. And it warms my heart to look out and to see the people that are here tonight. A lot that don't come to this meeting on a regular basis, but they have come to this meeting over the years. And they're honoring this group by being here. They're honoring this group. And what they're saying, and they don't even know it, that is like, you know what, guys? Keep up the good work. That's right. You know what? Keep up the good work. This meeting may not be for everyone, but I'll tell you this, in the years that I've been coming to this meeting, there's not a doubt in my mind that God has used the efforts of the addicts that have been involved in this meeting to touch a lot of lives. And that's what recovery is about. The therapeutic value of one addict helping another addict. It's without parallel. Nothing we do surpasses that. It says in the beginning of our 12 traditions, and if you're new here, I want to welcome you, to the Fellowship of Narcotics Anonymous, and I want to welcome you to this meeting. And I want to say to you that if you're serious about being a member of Narcotics Anonymous, and our traditions tell us that everybody that comes to the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous aren't members. We're a member when we say we're a member. We're a member when we make a decision that we're a member. And if you've made a decision to become a member of Narcotics Anonymous, and the only requirement for that membership is your desire to stop using. That's the only requirement, but it is a requirement. Your desire to stop using. And nobody can judge or measure another addict's desire. So if you have the desire to stop using and you've made a decision to become a member of Narcotics Anonymous, I encourage you to find a home group. Find a home group. Find a group that you feel safe in. Find a group that you enjoy going to. Find a group that you can make on a weekly basis. And when you find that group, get involved in that group. Become a home group member of that group. It has helped me enormously in my recovery. And our literature tells us that it's one of the backbones of group participation. See, each group is autonomous. We can do whatever we want as long as it falls within the guidelines of our 12 traditions. So find yourself a group and get involved in that group and get supported from that group. Hoodlum's Haven has been my home group for a number of years, but it wasn't always my home group. And to be perfectly honest, when I first came to this meeting, I really wasn't sure if I even wanted to participate in it. And the reason I did is a bunch of my friends had started this group. And they encouraged me, they asked me, come on, Ron, come on down to the group. We're getting together, we're starting this group, and we go out after the group. And the big emphasis seemed to be more that we're going to get together and go out after the group than the group itself. And maybe, we'll see. And I really wasn't thrilled about going there. And then I finally, one thing led to another, and I went there because my friends were going there. And I hung out in Hoodlum's Haven with my buddies. And we did go out after the group, and we did do things together, and it was nice. And I would come back from time to time. And when we were over at Mansfield, I didn't get involved when they went to George's house because I just didn't. at that time in my recovery, I was thinking along the lines, this is just the way I was thinking, it's like, it seems more like a social club these guys got than a group. And that's the way I was thinking. So I wasn't real big on getting involved with the group. And then when they went to Mansfield Street off Adams Avenue, I started attending that meeting, and I really enjoyed the atmosphere there as far as the group setting, the meeting setting, the way it was set up. It was very comfortable for me. And I started attending that meeting regularly. And then I'll never forget one time we had a business meeting. And I remember what they were discussing, and the thing that they were discussing is whether or not we should put the meeting in the schedule. And man, that rubbed me the wrong way. And these were my friends. These are guys that I got clean with. These are people that I had been walking in recovery for years with. And I understood what was going on. Their self-centered fear of losing something really good that seemed really powerful, really intimate, really special. They didn't want to lose that. So they thought that if they put it in the schedule, I remember one guy going, God, if we put it in the schedule, then recovery houses might come. Oh, God forbid, God forbid a newcomer should walk into Hoodlum's Haven, you know what I mean? Especially from a recovery house, And I thought to myself, have you lost your mind? I mean, I was so, I can't even tell you how livid I was after this business meeting that these are my buddies. These are guys that I love. And I ain't mentioned no names, but they were guys that I loved. And I left that business meeting that night, and I remember driving home going, fuck that fucking meeting. Fuck Hoodlum's Haven. You know what? I ain't never going back to that fucking meeting again. And I'm driving, and I'm pissed, and I don't fucking believe it. And I'm not answering the phone for 2 days, and and all of a sudden that little voice, like, Ronnie, starts talking, Ronnie, now settle down, Maybe your friends are afraid, Maybe they're acting through self-centered fear. Are you going to be part of the solution, Ronnie, or are you going to be part of the problem? And the more I thought about it, I thought, you know what? I want to be part of the solution. And I feel that as a member of Narcotics Anonymous, that group should go in the schedule so that if an addict has the opportunity to attend that meeting, they can. So I started going back to that meeting, and I overcame my anger, and I overcame my feelings, and I tried to be a part of that solution. And slowly but surely, through talking, we came to a realization that, this is God's deal, man. It ain't ours. We can only carry the message, but only God can deliver it. See, it's my responsibility as an addict in recovery. It is my responsibility. I want to say something. We talk about the promise of freedom from active addiction. But I got to tell you something. With freedom comes responsibility. And it's my responsibility as an addict in recovery to carry the message of Narcotics Anonymous. But only God can deliver it. And so slowly but surely, people started to change their mind, and they thought, okay, put it in the schedule. And they put it in the schedule. And then slowly but surely, I felt more comfortable being a member of this group. And then slowly but surely, I became really proud to be a member of this group. And I remember when we got it was such an attraction. People heard about Hoodlum's Haven. They heard about this candlelight atmosphere where people seemed to be intimate. It was an easier thing to share. And people would start coming, and it got crowded. Remember in the summer, it'd be hot as hell, and would be in that little room, and somebody would mention, like, we need another group. I'm like, hey, no, we don't need no other group. No, we don't, don't say that, And I was real hesitant about moving that meeting because I happened to like it there, and it was comfortable, and if we go somewhere else, it's going to be big, and it's not going to be what it was, and we're going to lose this. And I'm thinking, God, you sound like the guys did 4 years ago when they didn't want to put it in the schedule. That is an act of sanity. To be able to overcome my self-centeredness as an addict, to be able to overcome my own self-centered fears as an addict, and to realize that our common welfare should come first. Personal recovery depends on NA unity. Not N-A uniformity, on N-A unity. Unity of purpose. Unity of meaning. You know, it says in the front of our 12 traditions, the guidelines for our group, Homer, I love you. All right. The guidelines for our group is our 12 traditions. And it says on our preface to our 12 traditions, it says, as long as the ties that bind us together are stronger than those that would tear us apart, all will be well. Not all might be well, all will be well. What are the ties that bind us together? The ties that bind us together is that we're all suffering from the disease of addiction. And we're all here seeking the recovery process from it so that we don't have to use today. Those are the ties that bind us together. I want to say this in harmony and in love. I am an addict. When I'm in a meeting of Narcotics Anonymous and I identify with the group, I identify as my name is Ron. I'm an addict. I'm not Ron, I'm something and something. I'm not Ron, I'm something, something and something. I'm in a meeting of Narcotics Anonymous. And as a unified gesture, I identify with the group as being an addict. Now, I suffer from the disease of addiction, but I got to tell you something. Drug addiction is what got me to the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous. I heard a guy the other day talking about, well, you know, we're addicts and we have the disease of addiction. And it couldn't be, well, yeah, that's true. You know, the disease of addiction encompasses all areas of my life. But let me tell you something. I didn't get here by slamming too many Twinkies. Okay? And I didn't get here because I had a heart-on that wouldn't go away, you know? Or I didn't get here because I gambled a lot on the side, all right? I didn't get here from those reasons. Drug addiction brought me to the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous. And when drug addiction brought me to a place of surrender, that brought me to the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous, and by surrendering to this process, my eyes were opened up to the disease of addiction. So let's remind each other that when we're in a room of Narcotics Anonymous, let's identify as who and what we are in the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous. We're addicts seeking recovery. It's vital. If I go somewhere else, I respect their traditions. And when I identify with wherever else it is that I might go, I identify with what their traditions talk about. So I want to encourage us to remember, to remind each other that we're addicts seeking recovery. We're not sober here. We don't have other handles. We're recovering from the disease of addiction, and we're clean. That's what our literature tells us. And I wanted to make that point. You know, it says that we keep what we have only with vigilance. And if you don't understand what vigilance means, it means a watchful eye. It says that we keep what we have only with vigilance. And such as freedom for the individual comes through our 12 steps and having a spiritual awakening as a result of our 12 steps. Freedom for the group springs from our tradition. In other words, guys, you know, the reason that we're celebrating 9 years here tonight is because the members of this group over the last 9 years have been willing to practice traditions in their life. They've been willing to practice principles before personalities. They've been willing to take inventory of their group. Now, you don't hear a lot of that talked about in our group, but our literature tells us that as an ongoing prosperous group, we need to continually take inventory of the group, just like we take inventory of ourselves. Vigilance, watchful eye. Hey, Ron, what are you doing? Are you lying? Hey, Ron, what are you doing? Are you missing meetings? Hey, Ron, what are you doing? Have you remembered to pray every morning? Are you praying at night? I have to keep a watchful eye on myself for my own personal recovery. And this group, and all groups, should keep a watchful eye on themselves. You know, I can tell you, I can walk into a meeting of Narcotics Anonymous anywhere in the world, be in that meeting for a half an hour, and I can tell you whether that group has a business meeting almost, and whether they take their own inventory, whether they're vigilant. And what do I mean by that? I mean what our fifth tradition talks about, that each group has but one primary purpose. One primary purpose: to carry the message to the addict who still suffers. What is our message? That an addict, any addict, can get clean, can stop using drugs, can lose the desire to use drugs, and to find a new way of life. That is the Narcotics Anonymous message. And that is the primary purpose of a group. And how we do that and how we can enhance that is part of the process that a group goes through when they take their own inventory. I had a friend of mine who lives in Colorado now, Gil, a lot of you guys know him. He came here one time to the meeting, and at the end of the meeting, we had our business meeting. It just happened to fall on that night. And I said, Gilly, before we go out, I got to attend the business meeting. I'm a home group member. All right, no problem. He sat down. He was blown away. He said, Ronnie, there's more people in that business meeting than there is in groups where I go. He was impressed that this meeting, the membership, home group members cared enough about the primary purpose of this meeting that they would take time out of their busy little lives, especially on a Friday night, at the end of the meeting, when we got to go over here to eat, or they took the time to sit down and to discuss issues regarding that group, when in effect those issues are going to regard that atmosphere of recovery, which in effect is going to affect the addicts, the newcomers, the people that walk in the doors of this group. Our primary purpose is to enhance this atmosphere of recovery. You ever notice there's greeters here? You ever notice? How many meetings do you go to when you go to a meeting, you get greeted at the door? That the first thing is, before you even walk into that building, somebody says, hey, welcome to Hoodlum Haven, man. My name is so-and-so, and I'm an addict. That is fifth tradition stuff. You see this stuff that these members wrote up tonight? I don't even know if you remember what they said, but in the beginning of the meeting, they read some things supposedly for the newcomers. But I got to tell you, everybody needs to hear what we read in the beginning of this, because that's a part of being vigilant. And the longer I'm clean, the further I am from the horrors of addiction, and the easier it might just be for me to make a bad decision. So I need to hear that. We remind ourselves, what are we here for? Are we here to socialize? No. Do we socialize? Yeah. But are we here to socialize? No. Are we here to get jobs and make a lot of money? No. Do we come here and some of us get blessed with jobs and make a lot of money? Yeah. Are we here to find a girlfriend, to get married, and to have 2 kids? No. Do some of us go through that kind of pain? Yes. I mean, this is life on life's terms, you know. Our primary purpose is to carry that message and to remind each other that we are here in unity, to help each other stay clean. That is what a group does. It supplies an atmosphere of recovery for an addict seeking recovery. And I have to tip my hat to all the guys that are a part of this group, and I have to tip my hat and say, you know what? God must be smiling, because look what we have here tonight. You know, God must be smiling, because I think you guys are doing something right. You know, I think you guys just might be practicing the 12th tradition of our 12 traditions that talks about anonymity. And you know, you hear all the time, anonymity, you know, what you hear here, let it stay here, don't say nothing about this, and who you see there, don't say they were there, and all. And that is an aspect of anonymity. But it's not what anonymity is all about. Anonymity is about being the same. This is not about I and me, it's about we and our. This is a we program. What I do for a living, who I sleep with, how much money I have in the bank, is nobody's business. What matters when I walk into a room of Narcotics Anonymous is that I'm another addict seeking recovery. And the ties that bind us together are that I'm anonymous. What grievances I have out there, what my opinions is about Osama bin Laden and the rest of these yo-yos, and what I do for a living and all that stuff is outside the rooms. And when I'm here, it's about we and our. Anonymity. Without name. Okay? I'm just another addict. You know, I remember Gil saying one time to me, you know, Ron, how do you say it? The biggest position you can get in Narcotics Anonymous is an addict clean. And wow, yeah, I guess that is, huh? You know, I sometimes get offended when people want to make me out to be something special, or it sounds like they're trying to make me out to be something special, because I get scared. Because I'm just another addict, man. You know, I'm just another addict who's a bad decision, just one bad decision away from jails, institutions, and death. You know, and I don't want to die of this disease. I've suffered enough. I've suffered enough. You know, one of the things that's kind of also offended me over the years, and I just kind of take it now with a grain of salt, is when I hear people sometimes, you know, I say, hey, are you coming to Hoodlum's Haven? And I'll hear something like, nah, there's a lot of image there. Nah, I don't like that. You know, a lot of image, you know, or certain people are running that meeting and stuff like that. And, you know, that offends me, because I think my eyes are wide open, and I don't see a lot of image here. You know, when I walked into a meeting of Narcotics Anonymous, you guys told me 19 years ago when I got clean, hey, Ron, look for the similarities, not the differences. You see, what I learned in my recovery is that circumstances and conditions have nothing to do with my recovery from addiction. And I'll say it again. Circumstances in my life and conditions in my life have nothing to do with my recovery from the disease of addiction. And if that's the truth, then circumstances and conditions prior to coming into the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous have nothing to do with our recovery from addiction. You see, we all come from different places. We all come from different circumstances and situations. We've all had different conditions in our lives. We all come from different families. You know, I'm 52 years old, and I still suffer with family of origin issues. I was talking to Maynard today on the phone about something I still stumble with over and over and over again. At 52 years old, I still have these core family issues. And it's okay. We vary in the degree of our disease, and we vary in the rates of our recovery. But as long as the ties that bind us together are stronger than those that would tear us apart, all will be well. And that's the message. And that's when I hear these guys talking negative, I just kind of say, well, I don't see that. I really don't. You know, I see a bunch of addicts unified in purpose, trying to carry the message of Narcotics Anonymous, that no addict seeking recovery need ever die from the horrors of addiction. That's what this is about. It's not about where you lived before you got here and what you did and who you were with. It's about that we're here now, and let's help each other to stay clean, you know? We talk about spirituality. We talk about Narcotics Anonymous as being a spiritual program of recovery. And the most spiritual thing that I can do as an addict to recovery is to either give you help or ask you for help. That's the most spiritual thing I can do. I can read books. I can go to churches. I can recite mantras. I can pray till I'm blue in the face by myself. But unless I'm willing to reach my hand out to you in an act of humility and say, brother, I'm here for you, or unless I'm willing to reach my hand out to you in another act of humility and say, I'm hurting, man, I need help, then I'm not practicing spiritual principles. And I got all that here, guys. I got all that here in the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous. I got all that here through surrender to the process of recovery. I got all that here by trying to live a life based in humility. I got all that here seeking a God of my understanding on a daily basis. I got all that here being willing to be of service to this fellowship, to the God of my understanding, to other human beings, and to myself. That, to me, is a miracle. Because you see, I know who I really am, and I know where I come from. And if that miracle can happen to an addict like me, it can happen to anybody. And that's the message that I want to carry. That if we come here, if we surrender to this process, if we get a sponsor, if we take 12 steps, if we find the God of our own understanding and become willing to be of service to other addicts, we all can enjoy freedom from active addiction. I love recovery. It's the biggest gift God has ever blessed me with. Nothing other than life itself has meant more to me than recovery from the horrors of addiction. I love this group. There's a special part of my heart that's still with this group. Even though things have changed, I see the big picture. I see our common welfare, and I see that God has really blessed our efforts. And I believe in my heart of hearts, and I want to say this to everyone, I believe in my heart of hearts that if we remember what the ties that bind us together are, and we practice them, that this group's going to be here for a long time to come. Maybe not in this church, but the spirit of this group will be here for a long time to come. You know, I think back in 1953 when Jimmy Kennan and a handful of drug addicts had to separate from Alcoholics Anonymous, not because they weren't grateful to Alcoholics Anonymous. Alcoholics Anonymous gave us our traditions, gave us our steps, gave us our structure, gave us our guidelines, gave us our traditions. No, that's not why they left. They weren't ungrateful. They knew that they needed to find a way that addicts could share openly and freely about their drug addiction. And you know what made it? You know what really made it for this fellowship? Because prior to that, a lot of groups sprung up all over the country. And they had different names close to narcotics. You know, they were all trying to do the same thing, but none of them ever incorporated the traditions into their meeting settings. And when Jimmy did this with Sylvia Webster and the rest of them, they said, you know what, if we're going to do this, then we're going to have to incorporate the traditions into these meetings so that we can prosper like Alcoholics Anonymous. And look what we have here, guys. In 2 more years, in July of 2003, we're going to be celebrating Narcotics Anonymous' 50th anniversary. And guess where it's going to be? Right here in San Diego. Right. Give it a hand, yeah. So I hope that, you know what, we all stay clean a day at a time. We all help each other to stay clean a day at a time, and we're all here for that. And I hope that we all help each other to live this life a day at a time, free from active addiction. I want to thank you guys again for asking me to be a part of this celebration tonight. This is a celebration of recovery. This is a celebration of unity. This is a celebration of Hoodlums Haven. Thanks for letting me share.